ran the school cafeteria at WMI, and she did a really good job of that because she wasn't there when I was a freshman, and they had the worst food. The teachers wouldn't eat in the cafeteria. The kids wouldn't. This stuff is terrible. They'd go across the street. There was a little diner or whatever, and then I don't know how she got the job, but I guess that English, we had this exchange principle, and she gave her the job, and so she did such a good job, and she cooked, such good food. The place got to be really popular.
Made money besides.
And made money besides, yes.
And that was when you were in high school?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So was she still working there when you went to high school?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep, she was.
But this was before your dad died?
No, this was all after.
When did he pass away?
When I was about 12, I think.
Well, it was on my 10th birthday, so you must have been, you would have been 12 because you would have been 13.
Wow.
But he'd been sick for quite some time before he died.
What was he sick with?
He had coronary thrombosis, and he also had a problem when he was in the Army, I guess. He had gotten kicked on a stampede on a troop ship or something coming back from France. So, but it was he was probably where they invented stress, and commuting, and all that stuff. Because he used to drive to Hartford every day which was a 50-mile drive on terrible roads with hairpin curves, and he had a wicked schedule. He kept.
So you continue to live where you did on the Nyack because you all liked it so much as home, and it was close to
No, nothing to do with us, because he wanted to live there.
He wanted to live there. Why did he want to live there and commute so much?
Because I don't know, but I guess the United Press offered him a job as a political, covering the politics.
Analyst?
And yeah, he was a political forecaster and whatever, and so he covered the state government in Connecticut for the United Press. So
wow.
He got my grandfather a job. Yeah, actually, my grandfather was superintendent. That's how they did things in those days. He was superintendent of schools in the state of Connecticut.
Huh.
He got the job for it. And then, of course, when the next regime took over, my grandfather was a Republican, I guess. How they take over. Yeah. So he didn't have the job anymore, but he got another state job, which I'm sure my father was responsible for too. He was a caretaker at the Fort Griswold Monument in Groton.
Huh.
We used to love that place. We used to go over there and climb the monument, and all the flag up and down the pole, and fold up the flag. And that's one thing. My grandfather was extremely patriotic. He was a flag waver from day one.
Was your father Republican too?
No.
So that was their political arguments.
That's right.
Was he liberal or?
My father?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He challenged everything that came down the road. He took a look at.
So that may be part of where you got your feistiness from.
Probably so.
And your strong political convictions. I was thinking that when you were saying that you went to an all-girls school too, that made sense to me, because in your generation, a lot of time women weren't that outspoken. They were kind of told to be, present and quiet. And you both so outspoken that I thought, when you said you went to an all-girls school, I thought, because apparently that makes such a difference in terms of how outspoken children are. But how was it in your family before your father died? How did your parents get along, and how was it? Did you have a lot of political discussions together since your father was so interested in politics, or?
I don't think so. I think we just kind of listened, or I did. What about you?
I don't think that I was old enough to. I don't remember. See, this is where we differ a lot. I don't remember a lot of family time at all together. I don't remember, until my father became ill, I don't remember him being at home. And when I do remember him being at home, I don't remember being involved with him at all. John and I always felt, because John and I used to talk about this, we always felt that our father did not like us, that we were always in his way. We were told to be quiet if he was working. So John and I usually were out playing cowboys and Indians, and I can remember one or two picnics where my father was present, and there might have been a bit of interaction, and I can remember being in the car a few times with him, and it seemed like we used to do dancing school, and my mother didn't drive, so he always had to take us, and it seemed like we would either just get out of dancing school and he'd get a call, and we'd end up sitting in the car half the night while he covered whatever it was. There was a murder or something at Ocean Beach, don't you remember that? And we sat in the car until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So my mother took us out of dancing school finally because she just couldn't tolerate, this sort of thing. And then shortly after that, he became sick, and he was home for, what, a year, as I remember. Almost.
He wanted to move to Florida, and it was after he got sick he changed his mind. He actually sold all the antiques from his uncle's estate and everything. And so what he told us was that he didn't want to move to Florida anymore. That he'd rather be a big frog in a little pond than a little frog in a big pond or something like that. Because I guess he was quite influential in the area where we lived.
What was your relationship with him like, Trudy?
Mostly I remember just listening to everything, taking in everything that was going on around there.
You found him exciting, all the things he was in.
After that, it was like the spark of life went away in our house. There was never anything going on. It was kind of like.
So after he passed away, there was a big absence.
Yeah, I don't think when you're a kid you realize what it is. I just think that life was definitely different.
Did your mom? What was it like for your mom after his passing?
Oh well, she had a really tough time of it because my father was one of those kind of people that didn't pay much attention to money. He was his parents had plenty of money, and he never had to worry about anything. So back in those days, you could buy a house and get a mortgage, and you never paid the mortgage off. You just paid the interest. And of course, that's what he had done. I think one of my mother's brothers, my Uncle Bill, came down and explained the facts of life to her and gave her enough money to pay the mortgage until she could, she could collect. She was one of the first people to collect Social Security. She collected Social Security for us, and she got that pension from the government because my father was a veteran, and things like that she didn't really know how to do.
And she tried state aid when we were really young, but she hated it because they were so invasive. They used to actually come in the house and look in your cupboards and stuff to see that the money was spent the way they wanted. And then she tried she took in foster kids, and that didn't work out. So then she went and went to work. Yeah,
but she still did get.
She still got the Social Security for us,
but it wasn't enough to support
nowhere.
So she kind of had a.
It was tough.
It was tough for her, and I always felt that it wasn't fair of us kids to do anything, want anything or anything because she was in such a a bad position financially. And my brother was such a stinker. Remember? They sent him off to North Carolina or something, and he got stuck mowing the lawns and filling the oil cans and doing all the stuff.
The other hardships.
They sent him to your older brother, or
no, the younger brother went.
Yeah, that's where he went because the older brother was there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then different things like that.
But